Salt Lake City, a 17-year-old, Abdi Muhammad, was gunned down by police recently. What had happened was this kid was in an altercation with another fellow. Him and his friend had gotten into an altercation. Not necessarily blows being drawn or, they didn't really get into a scuffle. It was literally kind of a yelling match from what the reports state. And when the police showed up on the scene, Abdi Muhammad and his friend were there. And it was kind of de-escalating at that point, but the police had finally showed up. Abdi Muhammad and his friend, who's the only one who can give an account because Abdi unfortunately is no longer here, turned around to the police telling him to drop the broomstick that was in his hand. He did have a broomstick in his hand, but by the time that he turned around and the police had seen him, they told him to drop the broomstick. But his friend stated within a few seconds of them telling him to drop the broomstick, fire was opened upon him and he was gunned down. 2 shots to the stomach, 2 shots to the chest. He was in the hospital in critical condition. Unfortunately, he is no longer here. This was not a broomstick with a blade on the end. This was not a broomstick with nails strung through it. He had not beat someone to death with this broomstick. He was holding a broomstick in an altercation. Why he was holding it, still no one really truly knows. There's still more information that's to come out. But the fact that as soon as the police showed up, his friend stated that when they turned around and saw the police, the guns from the police officers were already drawn and aiming at them. And the friend stated that as soon as they told him to drop the broomstick, within a few seconds after they stated that, they opened fire on his friend. So before he even had a chance to drop the broomstick, he was already shot 4 times in critical condition. This is not the way that you handle this type of a situation. There's a lot of other things that these officers could have done. They weren't in direct harm. Even by the own officer's words, they said he was brandishing a broomstick. He refused to drop the broomstick, and then they opened fire on him. They never stated that he charged at them with the broomstick to try to harm them. They never stated that he was swinging it around in an incoherent manner and they feared he might hurt himself or others. They just stated he did not drop the broomstick, and that gave them the go-ahead for 2 officers to open fire on this kid in a public area. The police shouldn't be acting this way. And it's unfortunate that we have to keep bringing up these stories, but it's not to demonize the police. The police are great people. They have a very hard job, a job that I wouldn't even want. You go through very stressful, strenuous situations on a daily basis. It is tough to be making these critical decisions in such a fast-paced manner as it can unfold. But I don't think someone brandishing a broomstick in any situation should cause for them to be shot dead. Especially when you have nightsticks, you have tasers, you have mace, you have manpower. It was 2v1 essentially. You really think his friend's gonna fight against the police? Most kids do not fight the police. No matter what they try to tell you, when you see the police, most people stop and they show respect to that badge. They show respect to that position, and they do not get into an altercation. So again, I'll leave it to Jaysin to speak about this and then show parallels to other things that can happen when the police interact with people of the community that they're supposed to be protecting and serving.
So the police were just answering to a noise complaint?
Pretty much. The police were answering to in essence, a noise complaint. There was an altercation. People were worried that there could be some type of a escalation of the situation, but there were no gunshots. There was no one wounded. There was no one bleeding. In essence, it was a noise complaint.
So you compare this with Officer Bobby White, who is from Gainesville, Florida, who also responded to a noise complaint. Somebody was calling and complaining because there were young black kids playing basketball quite noisily. And he showed up. He even just flat out asked one of the boys who was playing, "Can you believe someone called about a noise complaint?" And I don't know what the young man said, but he responded, "I ain't gonna do shit about it," essentially. So he then started to play with them, and he even had a rematch with them and got Shaquille O'Neal to come and play. So that's what we expect from the police. But then you get these stories like this one, and it's like, why can't all cops just be like Officer Bobby White? Is it really that hard?
Not only that, I'm in these stories. The reason why I feel these stories are important is because I feel these stories show a lack of compassion. They show a lack of understanding for fellow human beings. This is someone else's child. This is a 17-year-old boy. His father, who is now in critical condition himself due to some reason that has happened recently. Who do you think is going to be hurt by this more? This officer who showed up on a scene who can be attacked with a broomstick, or the family member who's lost their lives? And again, this kid never attacked the police officers. Even in the police chief's own statement, he never stated once that these officers feared for their lives, that he attacked them with this broomstick. What happened was they showed up on the scene. They had their guns already drawn when they told the kid to turn around and drop the broomstick. And then before he even had a chance to drop a broomstick, please listen to how outrageous this is, a broomstick. Before they told him to even drop the broomstick, before he even had the chance to, they opened fire on him and killed him. Shot him twice in the stomach, twice in the chest. Whereas this is a kid. I'm pretty sure if you show up and you have a taser, you have a mace, you have your nightstick drawn.
Taser has range.
Taser has, almost 20 feet of range on it, these new tasers. It's no joke. You can show up with a nightstick drawn, which is understandable. This kid's got a broomstick. I don't know what he might do. A gun? By no means.
Use a broomstick like a staff.
Yeah.
But he wasn't doing it. He didn't charge towards him.
But even then, I'm just saying, if they were to walk up on the situation and them assessing the situation, what should I use to handle this person with a broomstick?
Yes.
Which is the way you're supposed to look at it. If this kid was to charge me with a broomstick, I don't want to have to be fumbling for something. Exactly. What in my various arsenal that I have could I use to stop this kid? A nightstick is all you need. Mace is all you need. If you walk up to this person and say, hey, drop that or you're going to be maced, 9 times out of 10, they're going to drop it. It's a broomstick. It just shows a lack of common decency. Whereas what did this guy do? He showed up, Officer Bobby White. Hey, come on, kids. You're playing basketball. I'm not even going to tell you to be quiet. You're playing basketball.
Shot the shit with them and then started playing, and they were cheering him on, and he was cheering them on. And when more of their friends showed up and started playing, he joked around, oh, you guys brought back up. Oh, no. That's what you do. You have, if there's a situation, you approach it rationally, calmly, and you assess it, and then you make the appropriate determination of what kind of force, if there is any force needed, what to do. And these situations, they keep popping up because, again, you hear it all the time. These officers are not getting trained properly. No. They're getting more training in how to handle and use their gun than they are in de-escalation or, assessing the situation properly. So until the training gets fixed, unfortunately, this is going to keep happening.
But look at also what it does, though. What has this Officer Bobby White now done? He has built a rapport with these kids. He has built a relationship and understanding with these kids. He then went on to build a basketball court in their neighborhood for these kids to go to so they are not causing issues with noise complaints.
Which it helps with the children's families. It helps with the officers and just from the whole police department standing in the community. Yeah. But what also helps is that the police department, their chief, they didn't, punish him for the way he handled it. They praised him for it. And
he set a standard. He showed that this is how you're supposed to interact with the community in a loving, understanding type way that shows, hey, I understand you guys are kids. You're not out here causing fights, scuffles. You're not out here causing a true disturbance.
Those kids,
you're being rowdy like kids are in any group.
Those kids could have been at home playing video games or out in the street selling drugs. But instead, they were presumably near their home playing basketball.
But also look at the opposite of that. So now you have shown what an officer should do. You have built rapport in the community. These kids, if they have an issue, now feel comfortable talking to this police officer. If something happens in the community, this officer now feels comfortable speaking with these kids. But look at the opposite. You gun someone down in the street for holding a broomstick, and what happens to you? Rightfully so. People start throwing bricks, bottles, things at you, and get angry in the community. You build a bad reputation. People start to distrust the police. People start to hate the police. You then have to call in more backup just to calm down the area and extract the people that you wounded yourself.
Not only that, but it makes your job so much harder. So much harder for the rest of your time there. The police department standing is going to go down. The people are not going to trust you. You're not going to get called in situations, which means
more people could be hurt.
More people could be hurt. Many things could happen. So it's all about the way you handle these situations. You gotta, if you can't approach a situation and calmly, rationally think it through before pulling out your gun, which should be the last resort.
Absolute last
then
resort.
You should not be a police officer. You shouldn't be in the military. You shouldn't be doing those kind of jobs where a weapon is, or any kind of weapon is in your vicinity. You should be doing something else.